Hello and welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Glenn Walter, and this is your opportunity as a potential voter in Frankfort and Franklin County to meet the people running for office, to represent you. This is like a job interview, and you'll take this opportunity to hear what they have to say, make an informed decision, and go to the polls on November 4th. Now, this is a race for Magistrate in the 5th District, and we're joined by Marty Booth. Marty, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a good service that the Frankfort Plant Board does for its customers and for all the citizens in Franklin County. And I'm grateful to be here again from the primary.
Well, we're glad to have you. And again, as she said, this is something that all of you out there can do. We have every race, every candidate for office is coming in here to talk about the race, about the issues that affect you. So take this opportunity, become informed, and most importantly, of course, go to the polls on November 4th. But let's get into it now. You mentioned you were here for the primary. You were successful, so now you're in the general election running for the 5th District Magistrate seat. So part of the question is answered already, but I guess the first question that we start with a lot of times is, why did you decide to run for this race and why now? Well, obviously you won the primary, but what maybe impacted that decision originally, and tell the people why you're running.
Yes. Well, I'm running because I wanted to make a difference, of course, be a part of the future of Franklin County. And two of the magistrates that are presently on the court were either resigning or running for another office, and they were the two that most frequently matched my opinion on votes. So you get an idea of what my opinions are from that statement. And I felt I just felt a compulsion. I said, this is my time. I need to step forward and put myself in the limelight and run for this office.
And indeed you did. So let's talk a little bit about since the primary. Obviously, you got into politics, you go through a primary, you win. What did that whole type of situation teach you? What was the primary like? What did you learn about yourself that you're bringing forward since maybe May?
Oh, well, I found out that I like talking to people. I like talking to strangers about our shared environment. I mean, we lived in Franklin County and we live in the same district, and the opinions that I heard were really enlightening to me. And I found out a lot about the infrastructure of the county and how people react to that. And I also found out that a lot of people really don't realize the services that are available to them through the county. And I was delighted to tell them about that, and I hope to continue to do that during my tenure as magistrate.
Well, let's talk about some of those issues a little bit. You talked about infrastructure, you talked about some other things, and one of the big issues that I think is always at the forefront in local politics, especially, you hear about it on a state level, not as much maybe nationally, but especially locally, is when you talk about economic development and the promotion of economic development, specifically in Frankfort and Franklin County. If elected, what specific ideas would you bring to the fiscal court that would improve economic development in our community?
Yes, we talked about that in the spring interview. And of course, I still believe that we can promote all of the special qualities that Franklin County has to offer in the way of history and the way of natural resources and art community. Also, I think that we should support the small business that we have already and let them increase their employment and let them have more varied opportunities to expand their business. And by saying let them, I mean encourage the business environment in Franklin County.
Another issue that has been talked about a lot throughout the entire community, and when we talk about the community, obviously you're running for a countywide race, but this trickles down into city government. It's been talked about on the state level. It seems to have gained some traction in the last few months, and it's the use of a multi-use indoor athletic facility for everyone throughout the community, not just youth, but for everyone. And it can be everything from a pool to whatever opportunities are out there, soccer, baseball, basketball, the like. Many people feel like this would be a big step in improving economic development, as we were just talking about, a quality of life throughout the community, and obviously giving our youth and all the way down to seniors something to do. In your opinion, should the county, as in government, be involved in this project? And how would you see that involvement if you're sitting on the fiscal court?
Well, we're already involved because the plans for a new complex, athletic complex that focuses on swimming and water sports is being developed now, and the county has contributed funds to that program, and I support that. The health of the community is really important, and the facilities to promote athletic competition, athletic exercise is very important. And as a magistrate, I would support any program that promoted that goal.
One of the other things we talked about in the spring a little bit with a lot of our candidates, and it's one we'll talk about now, and the terms can seem very short. And by the time you get elected, you get sworn in, you do your thing, it's on you before you know it, and then you're potentially running for re-election again, or maybe deciding not to run at all. But if it came down to it, to where they said, okay, Marty Booth, you're elected, but you've got this 1 4-year term to get something done, what's the one thing you would choose and why?
I would choose the wise development of our land use. Of course, that still involves the pipeline that was a very contentious issue this spring, and I do not believe that is over. So I would devote my energy to obstructing that development. Also, I think that we need to balance our land use, and especially the plans that are made for development of neighborhoods. I think that the county has a good planning and zoning department, and they need to be completely cognizant of developers' plans, and also the homeowners need to be aware of the restrictions and active in their homeowners associations. Now, the 5th District is mostly, not mostly, but very mainly, I should say, subdivisions, farming, and small business. And that is the balance. The natural resources, of course, are in there too. And I want a balance of that. I would like to change the opinion or change the focus of development to consider a balance of land use. That would be my #1 goal.
Now, we realize it's going to be a different looking fiscal court. It's a new judge executive. There's going to be new magistrates. That being said, a lot of the issues you can sort of see what's coming. What do you feel like will be the biggest issue that is facing the next fiscal court?
Oh, budget. Definitely the budget. It is a problem now. It's going to grow. We took the biggest slice out of the rainy day fund, as they call it, to balance the last budget. And the compensating rate that you read about in the newspaper to fund the present level of county government we have right now, the recommended compensating rate for property tax was not approved by the fiscal court. So that means we start off with a deficit for our present budget. So spending money wisely and balancing all the needs in the community services is the #1 problem that we face in the next 4 years.
Let's talk about the next 4 years and a little more specifically. Obviously, while sitting on the fiscal court, you'll be talking about budgets. You'll talk about things that impact the entire community, meaning Franklin County and Franklin County government, but specifically in the 5th District. What are you looking at as an issue, maybe the biggest that faces the people of the 5th District, and what would you do to help resolve that?
Well, there is an issue right now. It's called a joint land use study, and it involves the Capital City Airport and the Boone National Guard Center. And people are interested in that issue Not that the boundaries are going to be expanded, but the use of it is going to be expanded, and potential safety hazards may be raised that have not been there before. And that is a very big issue and deserves a lot of study and attention from the residents around that area. And one of my main goals is to make sure that the people that are affected by this issue know everything that there is to know about that issue so they can make an informed decision, at least have a effect on the people that do make decisions about that. Yeah.
Now, this is your opportunity. As you remember back in the spring during the primary, you got a chance to look into the camera and talk to the potential voters in Franklin County of the 5th District and tell them why they should select Marty Booth as their next member of the fiscal court.
Well, thank you for that opportunity, Glenn. I'm uniquely qualified to be magistrate of the 5th District. I have the attitude of a mother, a woman, and a longtime resident, a county resident. Also, I have lived in the city precincts. I feel that I know all aspects of the life of the citizens of the 5th District. And I am dedicating myself to getting out and making sure that I know what the citizens of the 5th District feel about issues. I think that there may have been a communication problem in the past that I want to make sure doesn't happen again. Every issue that comes up affecting the county residents, affecting the residents of the 5th District as a whole, I want to make sure they know about it. And I pledge my service to you in the next 4 years. Please vote for me in the general election on November 4th. Thank you.
You're watching Meet the Candidates, and you have just met candidate for 5th District Magistrate Marty Booth. Marty, thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
And while this is a race of the 5th District, and only those folks in the 5th District can vote for this particular race, we urge you to watch every single one of these Meet the Candidates programs. Learn about the people that are representing you, whether it be on the fiscal court or in statewide races. Get educated, be informed, and go to the polls on November 4th. And we'll remind you that you can see live election coverage right here on FPB TV on November the 4th, starting at 7 p.m. Tune in and find out who will indeed represent you in these local offices. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Glenn Waldrop for the Frankfort Plant Board, and we'll see you on election night.